P.Z. Myers, a sad old atheist, is upset because there is a group of other atheists who care about individual liberty, religious freedom, a free exchange of ideas, the Constitution, and secular government. This upset him so much that he wrote a blog post about it. Here we go again. We have a new gang of atheists with the same old meaningless buzzwords. Atheists for liberty. Hold up. What's the meaningless buzzword? Atheist or liberty? Because I can assure you that both of these words have meanings. He goes on to complain about the fact that this organization is for Americans who care about Enlightenment values, specifically atheists, agnostics, free thinkers, non-religious, skeptics, independents, conservatives, libertarians, classical liberals, centrists. I noticed that there are a few labels missing from their list, he says, like liberals, progressives, and humanists. Of course those labels are missing. This is atheists for liberty, after all, not atheists for paternalism. We are atheists who value our freedom and are not willing to sacrifice it just to appease other people who also happen to not believe in God. He continues, and that becomes even more obvious when you look at their, quote, principles, which are basically dogmatic, conservative Americanism. Look, calling something dogmatic does not make it so. It isn't dogmatism to uphold individual liberty. In fact, it is liberty itself that enables people to break orthodoxy. He continues, of course they worship free speech, but mainly because they hate social justice. Social justice is one of the most profoundly unjust ideologies of our time. The very idea that modern people are to be held to account for historical wrongs of people in the distant past who just happened to look like them is a perversion of the very concept of justice. Now, if you think that his rant is already as small-brained as it can get, think again. It gets worse. They never get around to saying what Enlightenment values are, but it sounds good. I expect that what they really liked about the Enlightenment was the Eurocentrism, the racism, the slavery, and the colonialism. Bring back the 18th century, he says. PZ. Your uncharitable interpretation of what is meant by Enlightenment values is indicative of the simple fact that you are not arguing in good faith. This is a hit piece, not a reasoned criticism. The concepts of liberty were birthed from the works of men such as John Locke, Thomas Paine, and Adam Smith, and despite their individual failings, we can extract from their writings a philosophy of liberty that has led to the great birth of Republican government in the West, of course, corresponding with the overall decline of monarchism across the globe. If you need a clue as to what aspect of the Enlightenment is being extolled by atheists for liberty, I'll give you a hint. It's in the name. It's just so completely nonsensical to look at the name, Atheists for Liberty, and then somehow conclude that we're in favor of slavery. The fact that you've managed to do so, PZ, hammers home the simple truth that academics are fully capable of complete idiocy. PZ goes on to whinge and whine about the people involved in the organization. None of what he says is an argument or a refutation of their ideas in the slightest, but rather, it is mouth-frothing drivel. His pearl-clutching about vipers and respectability really is pathetic. You, P.Z. Myers, are not respectable. It is you who is not deserving of any form of respect, as your whininess, bigotry, and complete abandonment of reason make crystal clear. PZ's entire blog post presents no cogent, thoughtful arguments, and is instead nothing more than a petulant whine. This post is just his expression of butthurtedness over the fact that there are atheists and skeptics who do not embrace his articles of faith. I cannot speak for anyone else, but I can say with certainty that I reject modern left-wing politics and their immensely stupid ideas such as social justice for the very same reason that I reject the Abrahamic God, and it is because I stand for freedom and against tyranny. Now, that will never prevent me from allying with religious conservatives and libertarians in the defense of freedom, as I share more in common with you than I do with the likes of P.Z. Myers, those paragons of social justice. This is due to the simple fact that I would much rather live in a free society in which people are free to believe in all sorts of things that I disagree with than live in a tyrannical society that had no liberty whatsoever and yet also happened to be atheistic.